Folks, it's week 4 of VALORANT NA Challengers, and we are back here with day number 2. I'm Mitch Leslie, joined by Keg. What's going on, Max? Good to be here with you, mate. Our first time in the booth, brother. Are you ready?
I was born ready, dude. First of many times between you and I, and today's going to be an absolute banger.
Absolutely. I mean, again, we are starting to get to the pointy end of things here. I think in this stage 2 of Challengers, right? We got a lot of revelations over the mid-season break. We definitely saw teams like Turtle Troop, rise up, start to come to the fore. And again, our Group A and Group B, respectively, are really starting to shake up a whole lot. We it's worth mentioning though. We have had we have had an announcement recently of one of our teams. Finally, Turtle Troop has a freaking org. It feels like it took over a year?
Way too long, dude. Like, Turtle Troop, or I guess Dark Zero as we can call them now, have been long overdue to have org support. They've been the top free agent team in North America for the longest time, and now that they finally have that support, with Dark Zero no less too, it really does feel like the world's healing.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about what we've coming up here. So this is today's matches. This is the 20th of June. For those of you that don't use a calendar or don't know what day it is, if you work in esports, that you're definitely one of them. We've got MXS, Moist X Shopify, going up against Sad Esports in our first matchup. And then a Core Gaming, who have struggled to find their footing here in stage 2 after some really brilliant performances in stage 1, going up against that TSM roster, who are currently 1 and 2, obviously with the victory over Blinn, and then having to run up against Oxygen and Fluffy Aimers back-to-back in the last couple weeks. TSM, another team who, despite some serious name brand power, haven't quite hit their stride the way that we thought they might.
I mean, you could talk about this with all 4 teams that we're covering today, is that there's a lot of brilliance on each individual roster, but there's been a lot of things between this split and the last split that haven't necessarily clicked, and I hope we get to explore that more later into today.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably even see it play out a little bit. Of course, right now in the map pool, Breeze has been removed and Haven is once again available for play. That might be something that comes up a little bit more later on, especially if we get some of the teams starting to go for it. It's not a map that's actually received any significant changes, Max. Normally we expect to see some of these maps come into the pool with a bit of a rework, but Haven is, as we've always known it to be.
Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe Deadlock's the rework that Haven needs, right? We were talking about this in the green room, how Deadlock can ultimately transform the map so much, especially on the defense side. But yeah, I mean, if there were changes to Haven, I'd be really curious to see what they would have been. But with the given meta now, I mean, I can only hope that Haven's just as explosive as before, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it will be interesting now seeing some of the agents start to make their way back into some of these 3-site maps. I think you and I were discussing the potential of Deadlock with Dan Dryad, who, if you want to watch just me and Max, by the way, a couple talking heads. We will be bringing, Dan in when she's able to get her internet sorted, but she's in LA and it's
we're podcasting.
Kind of, that's it. Exactly. We are a couple Sir Yappingtons here. Let's talk a little bit about our first matchup, though. It'll be Sad Esports going up against MXS, and this Sad roster, right, really looked like a force to be reckoned with in stage 1. Of course, the departure of Bob and some other sort of mix-ups to this team have left a little bit more of a question mark over it now with Ferbsa in today.
Oh man, where to begin, right? Sad, I really respect them as an org for taking a lot of risks. They're a lot of the firsts for challengers themselves. They brought in a co-ed team. They're willing to bring in players that aren't necessarily in that kind of mixture of tier 1, tier 2 play. And they have a brand new player that's returning again today with Ferbsa. That's
right. I mean, again, this Sad Esports team, to talk about their sort of road so far, I mean, going up against Fluffy Aimers and Blinn already here in this stage. Some tough games, taking a map off Blinn, who, hey, they 2-0'd M80. So that Blinn, team, from promotion and relegation has already impressed us quite a great deal. But it's getting pretty serious now, I think, for this Sad roster, right? If you think about where they sit overall, they are 0-3 in this Group B, heading into their 4th match. There are a lot of teams at like 1 and 2, 1 and 3 above them, but it is a serious climb if they're, looking towards playoffs a little bit later on. They really need to get their skates on here. It'll be today. Today is when they need to get started. And unfortunately, they get pitted up against MXS of all teams.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be such a swing match for the group right now. Like you mentioned, Sad, they have to win this series today if they want to have a standing chance in Challengers from here on out. They're a risk-taking team. They like to go for those weird comps. They like to go and challenge players with brand new strats that other teams may have not seen before. But Mitch, there's a reason why risks are called risks, and if they don't pay off, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, to be fair, this team, a number of others had always been sort of going for some odd looks at times, right? Even like some of the solo Yoru comps they tried to make work with Skarn in stage one, were feast or famine a lot of the time. You can see their map pool here, and I think that, a quick look shows you that Split is one of their sort of go-tos, and it's where, Max, they play one of the weirder comps I think we see in Challengers.
Yeah, there's been some weird comps. I'm happy a lot of teams are experimenting more with Yoru and Deadlock. Sad being one of the pioneers and challengers to do that. It has looked good, but again, you have to have more behind the depth of your composition besides just that surprise factor. Bringing out a Deadlock is not going to be a magical solution to winning a game. There needs to be a cohesive plan between not only themselves individually, but the team as a whole to go up against your enemy team. Look at Sad's map pool. It's very small, all things considered, looking over the last two splits. They like to play around the same 3-4-ish maps, and when they get banned out, those counter bans are really hard for Sad to bounce off of again.
Yeah, and I think like the Ascent map there is just one that tends to come up. It's just an overlap between Sad's pool and a lot of the others, and it is the standard composition that they like to play there generally. I think what gave them a lot of success early on was Bob on that Sova. I think she was a really impactful player, really locking down that B site quite often. So now they'll have to be relying on other options to make that happen. And they're going up against a team who... look, I think things have gone for MXS in stage 2 similarly to stage 1, right? They run up against Oxygen Esports. They don't take a win there, but otherwise they're looking pretty good at 2 and 1. And a win here catapults them directly into second place, right? Especially if it's a clean sort of 2-0. It is Brock, Flyer, Mata, Hodashima. We're still doing it. And Vic. This is a team that I don't think anybody is overlooking. I don't think anybody is underestimating. I think Sad, are going to be in for a rough ride against this team because... I think on pure name power, these guys are pretty wild, and they've continued to show us real consistency. Again, I think our mid-season cup was pretty telling as well in terms of where we have our MXS and our Oxygen and sort of I guess how we sort of take the temperature of these guys. I think if you think back, I think they made semi-finals, right, and they end up going down to Oxygen Esports in a 1-2. So they are still having trouble with OXG, but again they get wins against Fluffy Aimers, I think, as they qualified directly to the quarters. They're not a tournament where we really got to see a whole lot of them because they skipped that first round. They had a first round bye based on their placings in stage 1, but I don't think anybody's sleeping on these guys.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you mentioned about that first round bye, right? Because Moist, I'm very cautiously optimistic for them in stage 2. They are a name-branded team. These are all players we've known for the longest time, right? But Moist has really only been able to pad their stats with teams that are generally weaker than them. Yeah. We haven't seen Moist go up against the likes of M80 so much just yet. It's been mostly just Oxygen. And we've seen it over the last few weeks. Oxygen's one of those teams that's they're scientifically engineered to try to win Ascension. So while Moist has done really well so far in Challengers this year, I still want to see them go up against the likes of M80, Dark Zero, and see where they really stand in the standings. And
you can see their map pool, right? Breeze was such a go-to map for this MXS team. That's now out of the pool here. So we are wondering if they, in its stead have been working on that Haven, if they sort of bring it into this series. They are a team that's played a lot of bind and split. I think a lot of teams are trying to avoid, taking them to split in general. It's where they look really, really good. But even across the rest of that map pool, right? Look, their Lotus, they had some really strong games. I think when Odorous is really able to start getting rolling on a lurking controller role, we saw a lot of that sort of pre-nerf Viper from him, had some fantastic games, and Vic is also incredible, especially when he's picking up the Cypher or they're sort of swapping between him and Odorous. This team's really well rounded right now, and when Brock can take us into the 8-sided shape for a moment and beat us around the head, we know we're in for a good time. So this team is the real deal.
No, I really enjoy Moist in general, and I've been super excited to watch their progress so far, even from last year to this year. But I'm really curious to know what the vetoes are going to look like too, and this is going to be a very telling aspect of Moist versus Sad as well, because look at these vetoes. This is such an ego choice between both teams. Sunset's always been the hard ban for Moist up until this split, and even into this split it has been quite a bit. But because Sad hasn't really found much success this stage, Moist are feeling like, yeah, you know what? You can take us on the map we don't like to play. I think we'll be fine there. And instead, Moist chose to ban out the strongest maps that Sad have. And we talked about how small their map pool is already. You get rid of that factor for Sad, I'm really nervous to see what they're left with.
Yeah, this is a really interesting pick, Ben. I think like MXS sort of opting not to play Split. It might just be because of that wacky comp that Sad have on that map, especially when you're running up against a deadlock and maybe you don't have like the most ironclad protocols to sort of play around it.
We're having
this entire conversation, by the way, while we're just not addressing like Neon and ISO being absolutely terrifying right now. Yeah. We even saw a Clove busted out yesterday. So a lot of these teams are really starting to explore a little bit more the rest of these agents available. Like Clove in a single controller comp was I think it was Oxygen's pick yesterday. We're seeing a bunch of wacky stuff here. So for Haven, I have no expectations. Generally, it's all on the table for me in this map. And if Sad have not really worked to integrate this into their map pool, we might see some very puggy play.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very scrappy matchup, and that's why I think Sunset's the big fear from Moist, is that they prefer uncomfortable maps with a wider range. There's a lot of really big aim-heavy teams and challengers this year, and making them move away from a site or a map that has so many close condensed corners where you can take 50-50s or crossfire the enemy team, removing that factor and bringing things to a straight one-on-one has been a struggle for a lot of teams, and Sad is no exception. You'll see a lot of the time, round conversions are because they just don't win those gunfights. And there's a lot more to the table that comes from that too. But I gotta ask you, man, throw us a number. Are we gonna see ISO today? What's the percentage?
Honestly, on Haven, I can see it. I tell you what, I'll give you a 45%. That's kind of what I'm feeling. Yeah, I think
I'm with it.
On a especially someone like Sad, a very experimental team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, we've seen like Skarn often like take some interesting duelist picks where they've been available, or especially on their breeze, like he was playing a lot of Yori, one of the teams that really wanted to push that as much as possible. The bind map, if we get there, is I don't think it's great for Sad. It's a decent MXS map. They do run that sort of Gecko composition pretty effectively there, whereas I think in the past Sad have made more use of the sky based setups there, which for us felt probably a little bit more standard. So then we get again, like some of these larger maps with the bigger rotations do allow for like you to involve Neon. The fact that now she coming out of that slide, she does have an accuracy reduction.
If we see Neon bind, I will be very pleasantly surprised. I still don't know how I feel about the Neon changes yet. I think she could be incredible and a great alternative option to entry players that don't necessarily feel as comfortable with verticality. But again, the verdict's still out. That's the beauty of this Neon change. We get to see it in real time today, hopefully.
And the only team that was really pushing the Neon envelope sort of prior to her changes was now Dark Zero. And that was like where Corey would play it on like Sunset and also on Lotus. There you go. But quite often, like the way she was then, she would just get traded out a lot of the time. You would make space, you get traded out, you go on with your life. Whereas Raze maybe offered you a little bit more opportunity to sort of have a bigger impact over the game outside of just being a very pure entry fragger. So we're heading into agent select here. It's going to be Haven to start us off here.
No way.
It is sad. Yes, not only do we see the ISO, not only is our prediction being paid off already, but we are going to see the deadlock as well. A composition that, has a lot of similarities to the split look that Sad have. So they might be ready for this.
I'm really excited to see this comp in action, dude, because you have Coburg on the Astra. They're going to be a hardcore lurk and have a lot more global utility than your typical controller, but these attacking rounds are going to count so much compared to the defense. You have Darkest on Deadlock, your only Sentinel. That means you're not going to have as much flank utility as most Sentinels would. You have to rely on her utility purely for post-plant plays. Yes. And that means win condition now for Sad is that they have to get that spike down every single round of this attack. And look, for Moist, the path for victory seems pretty clear. Do not let that Deadlock get on site.
I mean, yeah, again, think of it. Like if you push that A site and you were able to put a wall down in sort of A link there, you are really limiting the attacker's options for trying to sort of retake there.
Big funnel.
Might even have a lineup here, a GravNet lineup over towards the C side. That's getting pinged out here, so it might be a fast play straight up C long.
Yeah, I like this. Good fast push in play. Moist already giving up C site. They're waiting to play pure retake. They want all that utility from Sad gone immediately.
Getting pinged out a little bit here. Obviously, Sova Dart to sort of pave the way for him. Double initiator set up here. Double scan initiator for the defenders. And again, here's that wall. So not even quite in the post plant, but this is going to have to be MXS busting their way through. And it takes a while for these pistols to get through. They don't have a safe way also to knife this wall away. So they're spending precious bullets in doing so.
Yeah, and Garage is a trap too. It's not precariously empty, but no, even then, no, Garage capable of scarring for 3.
That is dirty. The sonic sensor is massive there. They run into that stunned up instantly. And Vic now is in a 1 versus 4. It's just too much to ask. Sad gets so deep on C. On virtue, I think, Max, of MXS not having any presence there. They opt to play retake there, but that is a big gamble against this deadlock.
That's true, and it was a good read from Moist overall. They didn't choose the funnel, reroute themselves to a different area. Garage was, of course, open, but Coburg was waiting right outside for the anti-flank angle. So, Moist, they're aware of what this deadlock can bring to the table. They're willing to play more patient for that util dump, but they'll have to take that risk and fight Coburg for the flanks if they want to succeed if they give up sight.
Well, I guarantee you they won't be walking to another sonic sensor. I think there'll be a little bit of that. Yeah, MXS with that. The 4-player setup here over towards the B side, and we have our dart here just pinging out anyone set up in A. Contingency to let Sad move all the way down A long.
Of course, not a lot of big buys coming out from Moist side. Playing it slow, playing together, still looking out for that anti-lurk from Coburg. Remember, too, these are valuable rounds from Sad's side. The defense will be a very different story. Moist, of course, minimum of 3 rounds probably needed to have a solid defense here. They don't want to give too much away for Sad if they don't want to. This is a team that struggled so much so far this stage.
That was Spike, Max.
A.
That was Spike drop down there. Sonic Sensor also deactivated now, so MXS can now fortify this position just a little bit more. I think maybe the weapon up. Sheriff's going to work early. Ferbs are now really trying to pressure onto the side. He got to be spotted out instantly by the recon horde. Also deployed. Dip has the swing here with the Bulldog. Going to hold his ground on the side. It's a 2 versus 1. Odorous has very limited options here. And weaponry, not exactly sterling. 70 HP. And he's on the long wraparound.
No information gathered from Sad's side. They have no idea about Odorous' location. Having to go back to A site, though. 30 seconds left. Not enough time to reroute to B. A ghost in hand only, though.
There's a camera there set up for Odorous. Spotted out instantly. Really going to be able to capitalize off that as Dip was lit, revealed, swings it. Headshot was there for Odoshima, but not enough to finish the job here when 2 players Sad do convert here on this anti-eco. A bit rougher than they would have liked, but hey, they managed to keep that Vandal into the next.
Yeah, losing a lot of bodies in the process. Not the best case in the world, though. Buys into this next round aren't fantastic. Ferbs, though, bring out only a Sheriff. Now, normally that would be kind of a troll pick, but because of this new upgrade to ISO in general, this Sheriff has the chance of getting so much refrag potential off of ISO himself. So we could see a pickup of a Vandal here into this next round off of Moist, but gathering around B site, waiting for the anti-class to potentially go through. Like the lockdown potential on A site too. This stall procedure from Moist has to be everything, but again, A site, especially for the anti-jet trip in the back, will be quite a bit to see if Odorous can make it through.
Tripwire removed here, making plenty of noise though as they pass through the cyber cage. One way there thrown up briefly, maybe to cover the recon. Push into the site now. Ascan is pretty deep. Look, this Astra util blanketing the back of the side, and Ferbs is able to find Brook early on. Still a player up there in heaven, that's Vic. But decent post-plant positions and the wall for Deadlock thrown down towards Link.
Odorous was trying to play anti-entry, but his tripwires didn't work at all. Now look at this, a crossfire 50-50 set up by Sad. It's going to be so tough for Moist to get in.
Gun sees, though, decaying for a moment. Darkus waited to swing off this paranoia. Does connect, though. That was the Prowler looking to make its way over to the A site. Marta steps up right in front of Darkus, in fact. And after the fact, it's down to Odorous, who could not link up with the rest of MXS, trying to make that retake happen. This is going to be a rough start here for MXS, as they're struggling to respond to these fast side hits of powerful post-plant positioning.
Yeah, Moist will probably have to go for a timeout sooner rather than later. Already down 3 rounds, they lost their buy-up round. Very unusual for not only Moist, but for Sad to have such a devastating lead early on. This is not the Sad we normally see, man. And now I'm wondering, okay, Ferbza, newly coming back into the roster, has only played around 1 series with Sad in the past. It was Alvin Boy to be the sub in the meantime. This pace has been so good, but again, so unusual for Sad. And they're setting up for A again. They know they've been unstoppable so far, even with a full Senti setup on A. Up until now, though, Brock is going to play a much more proactive angle, but even him alone might not be enough with only a Sheriff.
Okay, the trooper actually placed a little bit lower here, you'll notice, by Odorous.
Oh, Flyer.
Already very fast. Flank with Coburg was sat back in spawn, waiting for it. Odorous tried to set up there over towards the site, but this time doesn't work out either. MXS went for a more anchor entrenched play over on the A side, but didn't have the weaponry to really fight fair. So now again, in the post plant, in a few moments, wall thrown out there. Them double tap activations, easy to find for Ferbza. Audaciously wants to swing towards Link. Doesn't take any damage because ISO is very good right now. And Vic here, of course, knows he's going to be lit by that recon if he's not careful. Steps up, looking for dip. Anything that you can get here is 4 rounds in a row for Sad.
Yeah, and Moist at this point, the procedure going for pure retakes has not worked whatsoever. They have to start playing proactive. They need to start taking these opening fights. Mata now, operator in play. This is huge. If he can get that opening pick, no matter who it is, off of this timeout, it needs to be a well-coordinated one. If you can start this round in a 5v4 against Sad, that's absolutely gigantic.
On his back here, this was, of course, a pretty early flank attempt there. The player from Sad sat back in spawn. I think it was Coburg waiting for it. You notice here as well, it's not just the barrier that's so powerful in this post plant for the Deadlock. There are sonic sensors on both entries, both through Link and through Sewer, over towards that A site here. So even like a late reflank for the defenders is going to be spotted out relatively easily. This is tough. I mean, no early action for MXS. They probably want to try and use some of the longer extremities of this map to take fights early on. You know, as Brook was looking for that peek down A long, but I mean, with nothing but a ghost, he can't stick around after letting that dart go.
Yeah, and the gears are turning for Moist too. We saw Flya attempting to go for the lurk last round, shut down by Coburg. Now they're very well aware the Astra's presence will always be on the lurk. At this point, Moist are giving up too much space to Sad. They're allowing all that util come through, the sonic sensors, the walls, even the positioning of Sad is in such a great angle. Remember, A-Site Haven is one of the most difficult sites in the game to retake, no matter what chips are on the board. Positioning is everything. And now, this proactive play outside A is going to be met with Sad, what looks like more of a default split in the garage this next round. They know themselves that A-Site won't be valuable anymore. They gotta change up their pace and play a little bit slower to regather some room on C.
Speaking of chips though, MXS will all in on that A hold. Might be able to get a decent like early flank entrenched here by Mata, at least pushed up holding that angle through lobby.
Up? That's risky.
Yeah, Sad there holding it. I don't think he's going to see a lot of action this round either. Through garage though is the play. Pretty standard stuff. Gonna be a smoke placed towards back C. MXS still have had enough time to set up for this. Drone will confirm Ferbza pushed up inside there, but man, he just swings that. That's brutal stuff. Sky able to hold his ground now as well. Down to 3 are MXS, and that operator has not seen a lick of action thus far. We've got Brook and Vic set up here. Vic did not make it over towards this side. Another kill inside by the looks of things. Garage, and another powerful post plant with 5 up for Sad. This is getting out of hand.
Remember, Sad don't know about the operator's presence just yet. No, they do, but on the shot, that's not good for Mata. He's forced it back away and has to save that operator. That's the problem with opping when you're defense on Haven. If you don't find that immediate impact 30, 45 seconds into a round, and you're forced to retake, it's almost a guaranteed save. You're turning your team into a 4v5 right off the rip.
Jittery stuff from Mata. He not ready, obviously, to hold that line against Coburg. This has been MXS now down 5 rounds, and there's even a question of whether they can really maintain this operator. Brook's about to get busy to swing through Lincoln again. ISO cannot be traded. And it's just Mata now. Needs to hit the shot. That operator has done so, man. Disaster for MXS.
And that was the primary win condition for Moist this defense. They needed that operator to stay alive and find presence early on. Now it's been discovered by Sad and shut down. The buys aren't looking good for Moist already. They are close to getting Blade Storm, however, so that might be a bit of reprieve for the buys, at least into the next round, but they'll have to farm for orbs this time. And that'll be very difficult on A, considering the fact the one round now that we've seen that push up from Moist outside of A towards that orb was met with no presence at all from Sad. They have not found any early gunfights at all, Mitch.
I mean, they conditioned MXS very effectively over the first couple of rounds to expect action at A. And MXS, given the size of the map, felt like they had no choice but to try and hedge in that direction. Behind the contingency, they come, but a seize will slow Ferbza down. Scarn, though, is going to get deep in the side. And once again, we have the wall set up. Oh, buddy. Flyer and then Annihilation is going to get dragged out. And MXS have to surge into the side to stop this. But it's going to be Mata for 2. Flyer swings on towards C-Long as well. Finally, MXS getting some action. No plant yet. Spike still held by Dip. Way out there in C-Long, getting lit, of course, by that neural theft, or the recon bolt, rather. And Sad are now going to have to work with 2. A late swing to the other extremity will be met by Otoshima in tower.
And Coburg's 1 kill off getting Cosmic Divide would be a great way to allow more space for Dip to get onto site. Overextension here, no tradability. Spike needs to go down.
Coburg holds the angle. Okay, wow, they're really investing. There's a Nightfall. Coburg going to play close here. Nice little ping. Dip able to find just the one. Make it as costly as they possibly can for MXS, whose economy is still developing. Another one for Dip. That is 4 on the round. Yes, it's a lost round, but my goodness, stripping 4 guns from MXS has got to feel brilliant.
That's unbelievable positioning from those last 2 alive. I can't believe Moist only have 1 left. For sure, 9 times out of 10 against most other teams, Moist would be walking out of that situation a 3v0. But right now, they're being put to the test in terms of gunfights. And this is something I noted from SAD for so long, Mitch, is that SAD, they weren't really doing that great up until in terms of just one-on-one fights. But they've turned it around. They've had that surprise factor. And even with Moist getting the proper read about the seaside take, they were there for those early gunfights and won it out. But SAD still converting it to 1 is really big news. This is a default now from SAD. They can't make their explosive presence known just yet. Flowing with just the spike is going to be the deadlock. Waiting for the anti-flag towards A. This is all a big fake approach towards C.
Cosmic Divide, even contingency thrown out. Prowler confirms Ferbs' positioning as well. Doesn't take any hits through the smoke. And this did drag MXS players over, but look, very quickly they are responding. They're going to ping pong again. Much like on Lotus here, back to the other extremity they go. And there is some of this Cypher util set up at least to receive some action through sewer. It's going to be a weird push through Link here. Otoshima and Brook going to double up. That's good. Brook swings that just in time. And remember, this was a dodgy round economically for MXS after losing 4 in the prior. That's going to be re-smoked here. Even the Aldrome might be thrown out to confirm. Hunter's Fury also committed. That's from the attacker's side here. Skarn, she got a licking there from a teammate. Not ideal. Coming up now through sewer, though. Brook is low, but holding strong. And here comes Dip.
It may be the savior here. ISO on the other side. Huge for Ferbs. A big crunch.
He's ready for it. Flyer holding the angle. No double tap up there for the ISO, and it's just Dip. Found 4 in the previous round. Might be too much to ask for now. We do not have a plan. Dip now going to be peppered with some of these util, and eventually Marta finds a connection with a blade. Now we have a chance for MXS to stabilize with their money.
Not only was that such a great read from Moist, but SAD, they overcommitted and their timing was off. By the time we had seen Darkest and Coburg already on A site, the rest of their team was nowhere to be seen. Your entry there, albeit a deadlock, first was Spike to go down. That was the round 1 right there. Moist didn't have to do anything else other than guard that spike and hold the extremities, including that flank through mid that they're aware about now from Ferbs' end. Someone's going to be guarding B from now on. Operator still not in play from Mata, though, still with the Vandal. Not a lot of utility expended, though. Trying to keep the money safe, get more consistent rounds. Again, Moist, at the very least, they need 3 to have a healthy half.
I think they spot 2 or 3 there off that recon bolt. Otoshima lying in wait here. Okay, well, the sound sensor, sonic sensor rather, would have gone off anyway. That's going to be refreshed by Darkest. And a very good result for SAD as they're merely probing at this A extremity and get a kill.
And Moist are taking this hook, line, and sinker. That sonic sensor still down, unaware of it. SAD are just waiting for the prime opportunity to move on forwards with another pick. Coburg, knowing full well there should be the anti-flank. As soon as that fade goes down, that'll be go time for SAD to push into A site. Oh, but they hold.
Pulling out of mid there. Might be 2 down. Okay, no, Miss Hat actually want to commit everybody to A long, maybe a later push. Time is short. Here comes that Ashton thrown down. Double tap up for your ISO, and off we go. The swing there for Brook is good for 1. It's a trade. Ferbs wants to push up past this. Paranoia clips him, but he's still able to find a kill anyway. Timing not really benefiting Marta there. Double tap refreshed, and Flyer is on the flank here. It's a little on the later side, though. Maybe gets set up over towards A long, but once again, is this standard A hit from SAD that pays off.
So much for recon.
That's 1. Flyer on the wrap. Ferbs the Dark is going to be grouping up here. Double tap. Pretty good ability. Ferbs it for 4. And SAD get back out in front, just as MXS really needed a solid round here. Keep those weapons flowing into the hand.
That was a certified ISO moment from Ferbs. The fact that he took that swing, was headshot against, and still won it out because of that shield. I mean, not only was that a good win condition right there, Ferbs getting a 4K into that round was huge, but over and over again, just taking these fights and with no response from Moist, these gunfights are going to be a lot more difficult than they have been in the past now that ISO is in full fruition. We have to see another change from Moist again. They're trying to play around the pacing and make this game their own, but it hasn't worked out just yet. The smoke falls. Oh?
Okay. Straight away, first to there being, I think,
Shut down the ult.
There's going to be some early action here over towards A Long. I like this Hunter through from Brook, and it pays off. Darkest dispelled. Spike dropped in lobby. Vic knows exactly where Dip is. Swinging into a bit of a crossfire there. But MXS can probably chill for a sec. They kind of have what they asked for. Now, Otoshima on that flank. He's bound to take some contact of some variety here. Brook needs to be careful not to overheat.
One enemy remaining.
One.
Last player standing.
Not quite two. 1v1 now. 3 stars still available for Coburg. Full site control. No information gathered. Brock has to take the long way. Only 2 shock bolts to work with here. Won't find a whole lot of impact immediately.
Spike planted.
Gives enough time for Coburg now to reposition just about anywhere they want. Or remember, global utility. All they have to do is wait for the spike to be pinged before they can grab well. And they get stunned with the Nova Pulse right after that. Brock
It
now.
just can't be cleared.
He's
Brook
gotta
cannot clear
remove.
that util.
No, he's got to remove Coburg, but Coburg's going to hide away.
Brook probably knows to bounce a shock dart or two into this cup. However, not a whole lot of time to work with. Brook is diligently clearing that C site. Here's that first tickle. Of course, Gravwell going to be thrown out straight away. Yeah, and here it comes. One more of those, and job will be done. Coburg lucky to be alive, down to 27. Time is ticking, though. That's another fake there from Brook.
Concussing it.
Coburg, yep, had another star there just for this contingency. And away, Coburg's going to walk sad, taking their 7th round. Brook, Bell Buddy explosion.
There's just so many moving parts for Sad's roster here on this map. That's hard for Moist to take care of one thing before going to another. Sure, you have Furbs to worry about. You have Darkest on the deadlock for the post-plant utility. Those are 2 problems in themselves. But then when Coburg is that final condition to stay alive and has that plant control with all that utility, that's a whole other can of worms for Moist to deal with. Only 3 more rounds in this half now. Moist only 2 rounds to work with here. Again, Haven's a very large map. It's generally considered to be attacker-sided. A lot of rotate potential for these attackers, but an early paranoia stifles this A push so much.
Yeah, it also messes the timing up with this contingency, so they can't push up A Long behind it. Nice little turn there for MXS. The previous round, if you recall, it was a seize that slowed them up. Early action paying off, but oh, buddy, Otoshima walks into that one. Mata, though, might have an opportunity here. Definitely has caught a timing. Darkest not ready to swing that angle adequately, and Mata gets out scot-free.
Good for 1. Now San, poised to take down Mata, keep an eye on them, but no, they're forcing themselves to push back into A site. They know full well this team is crunched. Coburg's have to be the one to watch not only sewers, but the flank potentially as well. 21 HP to do it.
You see a double stack here from 2 of our MXS players just around that corner. Tailwind over to the side. Horn did light one of these players up, so Vic and Brook, if I'm not mistaken, going to bite that time. Furbs swings without a 1-tap. And now Vic is able to step away from that dart. Got to dip here at 52 HP. 1 versus 3. And again, still has a Vandal on the board to deal with. That'll be stripped from him, though. And MXS get a crucial 3rd round back. Again, it's these early frauds from MXS that are yielding results.
Yeah, finding that confidence again, going for that early util dump. The paranoia to stop Sad from that initial push in was so important. Allowed small repositions for the double crunch for the remaining defenders. Allowed so much more time for Moist to get their breath, hold themselves down, and make sure, okay, we know how to control this round. And that's the biggest problem with Moist so far, has been they haven't had a grip on the early round plays. They haven't gone for those proactive plays and found much success. But the utility dump and the lack of kills to do it has found a lot more work for them to do. But let's see now. Still sticking with Odorous, holding down A site. This is very scary though. You take your Cypher down immediately, no trade ability. Paul's been made to read C site. He has to back away immediately and play around those tripwires. But if you recall before, when we had seen Skarn go for the aggressive entry on A, those tripwires, they were shot down and nullified immediately.
And even more so, the retake from MXS was pretty anemic. They really struggled to get into that A side in that post plant, especially against the deadlock util. But they're getting active on the extremities here.
Oh, I like this.
Mata will check this. This might come down to a raw duel.
This is what Sad want.
Congregation around that A site. Sad have taken so little of the map right now because, again, they've been conditioned to expect that push up from the defenders. And I've got to give credit to Mata. He's not really offering it up. He's about to get very busy, though. This position, though, very favorable with operator player. And there it is. Darkest down. That's also the wall in the post plant off the table. This is going to cause Sad to start to trend towards A.
Great read from Mata, too. Playing around with the patience of Sad. Operator now gone. Deadlock post-plant utility. Not nearly as strong as it was before for Sad if they get that spike in the ground. But Moist are already stacked up on A. They've read this so well.
There's the spray. It's good from Flyer. Able to light those players up with the Haunt. C's also going to be deployed now. Camera reveals Skarn's in that corner now. Nightfall deployed. All these kills gained by MXS without actually seeing any of Sad's players. And the latter are down to 2. It's Coburg and Dip to make it happen. 12 seconds left, and they are priced into this action. The paranoia is good. Dip doesn't know what hits him coming in from heaven, and Coburg will have to stand and deliver. That is a flawless round here for MXS. Coming alive, not a moment too soon, might I add.
Absolutely, at the very end of the defensive half, the weaker half, surely for this side.
Crush them.
They're finally able to unlock what Sad can bring to the table. Only one round left of this half. Sad aren't going to go for a timeout. They have to find a way to change up the pace and go for another explosive play once again. A side, despite whatever's been set up here for the defense, they've been able to bypass it every single time. It's up now to see if they want to go for a fast A this final round. Could surely maybe remove Brock and Otoshima immediately. But even then, though, the return, there's that paranoia from Vic from across the map. If they get over to the link, that'll be huge. But these fast plays for Sad have worked so well.
Right here.
Vic being out of TP A here. And otherwise reinforce that C side is important. Already we're drifting across here. Pretty quick push down towards A long, and here it is. Cosmic Divide going to be thrown up at the back of the side, makes that link push all the more difficult. And there's nothing to see for Otoshima from heaven. Should be a clean post-plant setup, but Vic's actually got ahead of this. Okay, tripwire caught. Mata has to adjust here to find the shot. Eventually it comes through. Wall throwing up, but Mata not bothered, can still go over it. Back to the rest of the team. Otoshima able to respond. The stagger of peaks here for MXS. The swings have been beautiful. And out to 2v2. Make it just Dip. With it all to do. Lit by Neural Theft and somehow finds that shot on the move. Filthy stuff. But the spike is dropped over on the side. Mata's got to be confident in this kind of matchup and still loses it out. Could have gone either way, but a Zippo clutch for Dip.
Dip, a player that has had less than 10 series in Challengers in his entire career, is looking fantastic on these gun plays. Taking Mata down to 1v1. Huge benefit in and of itself now. 8-4, very competitive half from Moy's side. And Sad, all the advantages they had going into their attack are almost hindrances for their defense. The deadlock utility not nearly as beneficial as it is on the attack here. Can't find direct information outside of babysitting the sonic sensors itself. Grab nets can be great for the stall, sure, but all Moist has to do is rotate to the opposite side of the map. That's where that 3-stack on A exists.
The best you can hope for is to try and isolate a player inside a side after they've, pushed into it as deadlock. Using those walls proactively it's really hard to get value out of them here defending, ironically, given that, of course, that we are talking about a Sentinel agent.
The deadlock discovered, too.
That is the USDA prime raw peak there out of Garage. And I've got Sonic Sensor left in Darkest's wake.
Remember, too, Sonic Sensors only activated by sound. You can teleport across them. Or just kill deadlock.
Okay, Mata, they're just, better lucky than good sometimes. Thankfully, they've got both. Coburg into the smoke here, but spotted out. Tries to swing it, able to find Fly's head. Well, one good turn deserves another, I suppose. Now 4 versus 4. We're going to be in the post plant here as MXS are pretty well entrenched here over the seaside.
Bye.
Yeah, here's Mata. Problem as always. Dip trying to make their way here through Garage. The peak. It's not going to get them there. It's up to Coburg in a 1 versus 4. Forget about it. Just forget about it. Great start here for MXS. Making up those rounds they so sorely needed on that first half.
Yeah, and boys, their composition playing much more safe and standard to the meta we knew of Haven before its removal. Not really changing a whole lot to the game plan. Double information off of the hands of Fade and, of course, the Sova, too. Plenty for Moist to work with and operate off of in the first 30 or so seconds. It's really going to come down to prying that early round information on these lanes. I mean, of course, Darkest going for that early peak did help a lot to figure out where the weaker side might be, but even then, you have to worry about Coburg hiding away with this utility. A 4-stack outside A again. The hopes that this should be in fast A push and using these pistols to leverage the fights.
But looking to swing past the orb take. This could be ugly. Yes, the double tap here allowing Ferbster to take an easy share of shot. Just a hint of what ISO's able to do right now. MXS, though, paved the way in towards Garage with that recon. And Aldro now will be looking to clear Flyer's position, but he gets ahead of it. A second? No. But But Otoshima were able to spring in action and find yet another one as he had pushed out of mid. Very proactive here from MXS. They've taken over the map and flipped it, but down to 2. Brock with the Bulldog here as Coburg was able to recover Marta's scoped weapon.
One shot, though. Marshall, headshot against Brock could be everything. Oh, Gareth instead.
Double swing, Coburg not good for it. Down to 10. Back over towards the A side. Here's the Paranoia. Will nip at the heels of the Astra. Darkus hoping to catch a timing here. It'll just be a reasonable flank timing and a weapon to hand to be recovered. But at some point, Darkus has to get involved. Here's that Aldrone. Good timing. Oh, Vic wins it out. Sliver of health for Vic, 7. And now Coburg with a paltry 10 hit points is going to have to try and mirror this rotation across the map.
Big disengage now. Coburg again. Marshall only. B-side going to be so much more difficult. Has that sheriff to work with, sure, but back over on C, it's the wrong read. B-side's the way to go. Spike goes down. Brock already holding the back end of B-side just in case Vic does fall, but he can teleport out. 7 HP.
Coburg v Brock, too healthy to get the better of there, and MXS more than happy to bounce over to the B side in a 2 versus 1 to take the round away, and they are quite effectively disrupting SAD on this defensive positioning. These are very chaotic rounds, though, let's be clear.
Absolutely, and one of the biggest strengths Moist have had historically has been their macro level reads. Looking at the big picture about what the rotations, especially on a map like Haven that can be an IGL's paradise, is so good to out-manipulate the enemy team. Coburg thought for sure that this would be a map-wide rotate with so little time left towards C. He thought he had the drop, but the answer was no. B site, the easiest way to go, is the one chosen. Big spread around, and once again, a huge opening pick now. Distance to be made on any of these sites will be much more difficult without your jet.
The Outlaw here being valid in 4 out of 5 cases with SAD. So many of them taking that half armor. And these are just dry peaks. I'll be honest with you. The first one was an angle holder, to be fair. Marta getting caught by that one, but Ferbs are again delivering for this SAD team. Now you've whittled the attackers down to 3. And Brock's still very early days in this setup. Aldrone going to be thrown down. Ferbs are just waiting for an opportunity.
So smart, too. Going for that dry peak. Going. Oh, well, the Aldrone was there.
Good refrag, though. Skarn getting involved very quickly now. 51 seconds left in the round, and that spike is actually being pulled out of C to a degree. Now, with Otoshima being unsuccessful with any action through Garage, this round's about to grind to a screeching halt. Brook doesn't have a Vandal to hand, but there probably are some in the vicinity to be recovered. He's probably hoping to do so now and bring at least something into the next round, but there's going to be a player here to meet him. Darkest pushed up mid, hold the angle, and SAD get themselves a defensive round.
Even despite the info being gained against Ferbs, it's so hard to go for a dry swing like that because Ferbs' utility might be open. They could have that shield active. It's something to watch out for. Essentially a sentinel in themselves as long as it's active. But now 6-9, only 3 rounds of a difference. Moist, they've looked pretty competitive so far, but SAD themselves, as long as they hold the line and they have that general read, they've been so good about crunching it down on Moist. But this could be another explosive push from Moist themselves. There's no Cypher on A site. There's no stalling util outside of Astra and the Deadlock pre-placing utility on C. A site might be the way to go. They only have to take gunfights to get their way onto the site.
That offensive cyber cage comes up, though, allows MXS to cross through lobby to imply presence at least through sewer. Ferbster tries to take the challenge there, but the double tap is not going to be enough. Otoshima happy to stand his ground. And now MXS can cut noise for a time. Can they draw anyone out of position? Can Marta maybe rattle the cage over at C?
Marta, operator in hand, just waiting for the cross back over. As soon as even that fake smoke comes up, they can pre-fire and shoot and maybe take down that Astra, opening up C site. B site, if they wait out the timing on the wall, may not know of his existence just yet, but if they just wait and rotate later, they could have B site for free.
MXS don't really have the mechanism, though, to keep SAD interested in another site. Marta's not going to fire off random shots or waste utility.
I know
Doesn't have the kit
exactly
for
where
it.
you are.
Neural theft, though. This is very illuminating, Max.
Yes, this is good. Now that there's the crossover, it'll be spotted surely now, the isolated Astra. One more ping.
No, they're going to be waiting in the smoke. Marta trying to hedge with his positioning. Fly stunned up briefly here. Coburg waiting, of course. Sonic sensor reveals and stuns up. 4 players are still to work with for MXS, and Marta finally gets purchased with this operator. And this is an angle that's sad. Are going to be hard pressed to overcome, especially with no one but Skarn remaining. Just a sad pop up for air. It's back to the depths once more as MXS look to post their 7th.
Yeah, money's already looking somewhat good for Skarn themselves, but not for the rest of SAD. Keeping that Vandal away, making sure there's reinvestments into the next round are so much more important. For SAD themselves, they're up by 3, now 2 rounds. They are so close to converting this first map. And keep in mind, too, this is Moist map pick. If they can win this out, that'll be gigantic for them going to Sunset, a map that Moist have always avoided playing. They don't like those up-close fights. But on a big map like this, where you have the freedom to rotate so much more compared to others, there's that flexibility that Moist love to have, especially now that it's back into the pool. You don't have to rely on just Lotus for it anymore. And the timing here in Moist, they've been dominant at it so far this game. They can be patient and wait out SAD, especially now on their defense.
I mean, I do have to love the take that SAD already have on Haven at this very sort of early stage. I say with air quotes, given that the map is unchanged as it was here. The ISOs look pretty good, right? Situations where Ferbs can actually take a fight with double tap, 9 times out of 10, winning them out. I would say that SAD, look, can get ground down a little bit in those later rounds. MXS are playing some pretty strong defaults with some noise cuts that are making it a little bit hard for SAD to make informed decisions.
But the problem, though, is that SAD, they're playing a one-sided comp. They're dominant for their attacking side, but the defense, they have to rely on these gunfights so much more. General timing for Moist, they can just reroute back over and reset the information SAD have gained. Darkest. Spotting at least one, but again, the gunfight's 50-50. Moist always almost come out on top until Ferbs upgrades to ISO.
God, just playing an operator into ISO like that is such a tall order. Really oppressive to deal with that double tap shield. And you can only really take one shot. Ferbs now can fortify this garage position, and Coburg elsewhere was able to find Rourke. That was shot over towards garage itself. Drew left here for MXS. Right on the other side of the wall. Vic is weighing the odds up now. Be a crossfire you'd be swinging into. Odorous. Okay, great timing. Able to take Skarn down. This might actually free Vic up a little bit, but he's caught with util in hand. That's a disastrous turn of events.
40 seconds. Dip is separated out. Owldrone's not going to spot him out either. There may be an iota of a chance to take this 1v1. No! Firmza!
30 seconds left.
The timing's so rough. He thought he had an opportunity with the Owl drone deployed there, heard it go off, but no, finally we get an ISO ult, and it's about as effective as I expected it to be.
I mean, even if Ferbza had somehow lost that 1v1, Dip would have been there for the instant trade anyways. It's a guaranteed checkmate for a round. And SAD. Waiting out on the antsiness of Moist themselves. Yeah, timeout's definitely needed here. This has been a battle of the wits between both teams. I haven't seen too many Valorant matches like this recently. It's not even just the gunfights. It's really the mental game of figuring out, okay, how can we make sure we don't get overly anxious about these pushes? And for both teams on these attacks, there has been that struggle. For at least Moist now, they have the flexibility of a little bit more information gathering than SAD did. There isn't as much of a reliance on pure, raw space and gunfights necessary. And for Moist, that does allow them to have a little bit more flexibility into the mid-round, but for them too, if they don't find that information to be maximally useful, SAD can circumvent their way around the crevices of this map and take down so many surprise players. And look, there's also Ferbza.
Vada has to really think twice about how they look to challenge with the operator.
Yeah.
It's a side that's inhabited by that ISO. And the fact that Ferbza can just face tank an operator shot and win that duel, I mean, that is extremely impressive of a situation to have to play through. Marta here with Bladestorm up at the very least. Honest Fury, Cosmic Divide up for SAD here. And looking at the economy, it's safe to say this round is about as pivotal as it gets. Skarn has that operator from the previous round. Getting close to a Bladestorm of his own here. Can just hold this mid down, and Marta with the knife, just hoping to make something of it. Unreal! Wow. The shot was missed. Marta, though, does take a leg shot, I think. Swinging out there. But getting the ISO for free, or virtually free, has got to feel good.
Absolutely gigantic there. Now no longer drive swings to the Ferbs that could be necessary. Operator not in play, though, for Moist. They can't rely on the one-shots. Though they do have, of course, the Bladestorm. That might as well be one if it's a headshot. But even then, though, reset necessary. Not a default now from Moist. Hiding in that cubby, though. Coburg waiting for that push-up. Plenty of audio cues as well. There is that orb on C. Will be picked up by Vic.
Owl drone first. Marta does not take contact off of it here. They come! Another one for Marta. Still 30 HP. And now we've recovered a decent rifle. And all of that scanned utility thrown to the back of the B site, C site rather, but it is clear. It's on for young and old now as MXS can set up with 5 players. Only player really taking a licking is Marta, and those blades are still at the ready. I like this. Get ahead of the smoke, though. Look at Sad very quickly make their way into the site. Looking to get down and dirty with it. But Vic's good. What a spray transfer to take Dip down, and that's MXS getting to 8.
I gotta say, I'm so surprised Dip didn't bring out Hunter's Fury to delay the plant. That would have been enough time for more reposition value, despite it being a numbers deficit from Sad's side. Could have been enough to use that smoke to take a fight and dip away. Stall for that spike control. But now they have a Hunter's Fury and, of course, a plethora of other ultimates in their arsenal to work with into this round. Mata returns back with that operator once more. It looks like a default in play for Moist now to play patient, slow things down again. They don't want Sad to get used to their timing whatsoever. And as you mentioned, it was a pivotal round last now. The buy's not looking great for Sad's side. Could maybe try to use those ultimates as leverage, but even then, that's a risky endeavor. You won't have them for the rest of the half, or possibly even the rest of the game.
And these are the important ones.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe Annihilation has some value to you, but it's about as good as it gets ultimate-wise for Sad. Looks like Marta was able to strip the double-tap shield off there from Ferbster with that operator shot and not punished for it either. So contingency here obscures, again, a potential probe forwards from Sad on this A extremity. They have to re-clear now after the fact.
Yeah, baits out a lot of valuable utility too. Owl Drone not available anymore for Moist. Their info gathering was down to a single Prowler in the Haunt from Flya. And that's going to telegraph exactly where that push will go.
Okay, Prowler does see Scarny, takes a chomp out of him.
There.
But now we're down to raw peaks for MXS.
Just regen utility now.
And still a lot of defensive util set up on that C site here. So not out of the woods yet are MXS. Yes, they are favored weapon-wise, but haven't been able to generate any momentum in the early part of the round. Should have been a kill on ISO, but it's not how he works.
Is he telling where he ranges the Sonic Sensor? No, but he's going to drop down into it.
Okay, no harm, no foul though. No ability to swing off that facade. They're actually mostly over towards that A side. So all said and done, MXS get a post plant with stronger weaponry. Even that shock dart doesn't find purchase. Brock can just walk away. And now we are well entrenched here. It's an important round for Sad. Still no opportunity to leverage any of those ultimates here, likely saving it to supplement their next gun round. But this one might be a lost cause.
Nah, even looking for exits here, potentially just removing guns away from Moist. Their economy's not looking fantastic either, but there it is, a good push in. Get rid of those guns.
Okay, grab that thrown out. That was beautiful. Just the setup there with the swing. Updraft. Flyo comes through. Spray down is good. Amada is waiting there at C long. So 2 guns drop there. Is, you know, we like the recon bolt with the updraft swing there for the jet. Good for a kill, but Blade Storm had to be used in order for Skarn to take a gun away.
Yeah, luckily though, big buy up into this next round. Hopefully we won't see the retrievance of another Blade Storm, but that was necessary. Hopefully no more eco rounds coming through from Sad's side. And again, that makes this round so much more important. There's no buffer of having overtime to work with. If Sad lose this round, we're looking at a save once again, and it's already going to be a tied game. If Moist win this round and do bring it to a tie,
over there,
the weapon differential enough could make it so Moist finally converts a winning round here and takes the lead.
MXS though built both Nightfall and Hunter's Fury. Really important ultimates here to try and give themselves an edge when it comes to an execute. No one to be here. Sad are basically playing entirely towards the extremities. Pings over towards A long now. A cyber cage is set up for Otoshima in order to fly across, and the Owl Drone will also reveal a lot of information.
That's right, but no deadlock. Still have to be cautious about that Annihilation. No one can play by themselves. Annihilation can be strong in the defense too. You can draw a lot of these attackers post-plant to swing and get taken out trying to save their teammate.
Okay, Ort to garage, sees nothing. No one tucked around a corner. Nightfall being prepped for a C hit. It'll be thrown out. And do they follow up on this?
No.
They did not.
Stalling for time there. Only one discovered. Still playing around with the timer. 40 seconds left.
Catch them.
The flyer could be huge. C's does not catch. They are starting to scale up their map control here, and I think they're starting to settle on B. The correct decision being made as MXS have used the process of elimination. Annihilation, they might catch someone. No, Brock was just outside of it. Grab that, also going to be thrown down. Now that one is good. Ferbster has to swing off that one, and the Hunter's Fury comes in. This is getting ugly. Ferbster looked to swing that one, but Dip's able to get the spike loose at 2 versus 2. Dying seconds of the round.
10 seconds
Otoshima
left.
just sticks to plan as Dip's about to round that corner. But Vic has the timing. Finds Skarn. Dip wasn't able to capitalize on that window. And now in the post plans, a 1 versus 2. Such an important round. This is Sad emptying the piggy bank to try and get a foothold on this defense side. And that opportunity may have gone begging. Dip's going to be lit once more. Camera sees everything as Otoshima paves the way for Vic to take this fight.
1v1.
But Dip's a little better. Biggest advantage, that's Vic. Ticket on the spike and Otoshima falls. Dip delivers again for Sad. Take him to 11 and give them a real chance to close things out in the next few.
The risks that Sad and Org have taken on this team have proven dividends for this round. A player who, frankly, no one's ever really heard of until this split has come through the ranks of the 3rd tier and through the amateur scene of Valorant, have now proven themselves to be that clutch factor that Sad have desperately needed so far in their run of challengers. And again, that was a round that could have bankrupted Sad, even out the game, and allowed Moist to take that lead 11-10. But now they can reinvest. Skarn has that operator back, and sure, it's not a full buy. 2 Bulldogs to work with, though. Coburg does have Cosmic Divide to work with, though. As soon as any main presence is made by Moist, they can shut it down with that wall, especially for a retake. Early Owl Drone. What information can it spot? No, but it baits out the wall at the very least. The deadlock must be nearby.
2 pieces of util drawn out there from the defenders. Ferbs are here. So much information. The double tap goes for nothing, but still, that is a whole lot of real estate that has been gained by the defenders now. And there's no reason for Sad to rotate off that C site. Here's Odorous straight into the crosshair of Ferbser.
Now Moist have to keep watching for flanks. They're already down a body, but they lost their Cypher too. The tripwire's nullified. Rock does have that Hunter's Fury to open up a lot of space on C side for the push.
Find you.
Could save it for post plan as well. A lot of options.
Vaunt comes down. Here's the Hunter's Fury for Brook. There was a light, and yep, Coburg trying to dash away from that backup side. Dark is able to avoid the last shot there from the Hunter's Fury, and Dip is involved once more. This is stunning from Sad. And they've set themselves up to clean this map. 12-9. MXS in the doldrums economically. They're going to have to cobble something together. Well, this one will be over.
It's always devastating to potentially lose your own map pick, especially going to a map next that you refuse to play for the entirety of this year. Only a single time was it brought out now by Moist, and it was not a winning game.
Look at this. Just contact plays from the defenders mid-execute here. Completely catching MXS off guard.
And Mitch, that's what I was worried about going into this series, is that Sad, watching back at their VODs, you watch those raw gunfights, it's not really that impressive. But this Sad is a very different story, and I'm beyond impressed.
We got the Angels to make it happen too. Double duelist on defense. You've got to fight a bit scrappy on these sites. But it really has been Dip on this over that has made such a massive impact when it's been needed. All right, we hear
Dangerous
that
game.
sound. Yeah, I think Vic knows exactly what's waiting on the other side of the wall.
Oh, but Ferbs could just dry swing this anyways.
But he has the timing, though. He doesn't check the angle. Double tap or not, there's no way you're winning that out. Some more of that util drawn onto the B side here, but Vic might be happy with what he's got. He's trending back down. Maybe towards Garage here.
Still not ult available from Coburg. Great way to divide out A site. Pivotal for a retake. Moist do have Neural Theft to work with too. All it takes is one more body to fall. Very close to A site.
Take flight.
C's dropped in that corner. That's a spot that MXS love to double up in on defense. Doing their due. But sorry! That is a disgusting swing from Darkest. Marta fell, Jet out of the equation now. 4 versus 4 achieved. Okay, Skarn is getting it all here. Finding a man that has everything. Down from heaven comes Dip and sticks the landing. It's a perfect 10 from the judges, and what a finish! Sad Esports have done it. They've taken Haven away 13-9 against MXS. We'll call that an upset for a 0-3 team here in stage 2.
I would absolutely call that an upset. Moist through and through. This is a map that's as old as time. It should be in Moist playbook through and through like the back of their hands. An ISO, a deadlock, an Asher brought out, and a whole lot, like a big cauldron of confusion against their team. I mean, Sad is looking fantastic into this series.
Yeah, great start for them. And like you mentioned, the map pool will be favoring them in a big way. If we see a sunset come out in which Sad are prepared to roll out their same brand of gameplay on, they're going to be looking very, very strong. That We'll be lingering on the other side of the break, so we're going to head to that right now. Take a breath, everybody. SAD Esports seem to be back, and MXS are under the thumb.
My favorite current VALORANT Pro roster of all time is probably the EDG roster with Kang, Howdong, and Smoggy. Those guys are always a blast to watch, and Kang always puts on a show, so it's just fun to watch them.
Talent Esports. I think they're the most fun to watch.
I think my favorite VCT roster right now is gotta be, I would say the Fnatic right now, you know. I think they're all really good players, and that team is always going to be a top contender. Or PRX right now also. All the players on PRX are just so funny and insane at the game.
I don't know, I guess the prime Sen roster, because they kind of play dumbasses and won a major. I don't know how that happens. They just ran it down and played and won a major, so that's cool.
I think I'd probably go with the Vanities, Elsa, Zeppa, Mitch, and Zeta C9. I think would be my number one.
Favorite VCT roster I've ever seen? I would say maybe the current Paper Rex is probably one of the coolest rosters I've seen. You know, they're going full power. They have everybody.
Probably old Sentinels. I feel like they were just a lot of fun to watch. It was just awesome back then. So I think that's what mainly got me into competitive Valorant.
My favorite roster from present or past Valorant would probably be the old Sonics Australian roster, the one that originally came to NA with Dizzy Life, Plix, Crunchy, Bob, and Ian.
I don't know. It kind of depends on the game. In League, I probably have to give it to SKT Telecom. That was a dynasty. And like I said, I'm a huge Faker fan. I don't have a lot of people that I'm really hard fans of, him, Shroud. That's pretty much it, bro. But I think they were objectively the best team to have ever touched maybe any video game, right? And if you're just talking within just League, they're definitely the best within League, or so far no one has matched them yet, right?
The game starts long before the game starts. And warm hands are faster hands. Gain the upper hand and power up your pregame warm-up with Zippo hand warmers.
face.